To measure out the length of the sleeve you want, just place your tape at the edge of your shoulder here and measure down. If you want a short sleeve, 7 inches, 8 inches, depending on how long your arm is. So at the elbow here, if that's what you want, you take the measurement. If it's a full length sleeve, just take your measurement from the edge of the shoulder here. So you have to take the round sleeve as well. So your bicep is the upper part of your arm. So just under the arm this way, you take your measurement. So this is the bicep circumference. So when you are making a flat pattern for the biceps, for each sleeve you divide into 2 because you are taking this measurement. But then when you are measuring, you measure it round. So you're dealing with one sleeve, you divide it into 2 to give you a flat, to make your pattern on a flat pattern. So you measure that, and then you measure the lower part of the arm where you are ending your sleeve. If it's a long sleeve, you take the elbow. The elbow should not be taken tightly because you need to be able to move this arm. So you may ask your client or you move your arm so that you can get some freedom. As you see, after moving it, I have some ease in here already. So also you take this round wrist, round your wrist here, and take the measurement. So if it's going to be a very long sleeve and you want it fitted, you may need to put button and all that. Just make sure your arm can pass through whatever you are taking out for your wrist. So it should not be too tight if you don't plan to add a button. But if it's something you want tight, you must be willing to add button to make it free enough for your arms, sorry, your fingers to enter. So that's it with the measurement. You may have noticed by now that there seems to be 1001 methods for creating sleeves. Okay, so I made a tutorial earlier on basic sleeve making, which is a very simplified method, but I'll be teaching you another method today which is a little bit more advanced, and I find this method more accurate too. So I have a paper here which I've folded into 2 because we'll be creating the 2 sides of a sleeve. So I'll just open it up and mark a startup line. And a middle line. So this will be the middle of our sleeve. I'm sure you have seen how I took measurement for my sleeve. Okay, so this is the top of our sleeve. Now we need to measure from this top of our sleeve and put another line, which is the cap height. Okay, if you want to calculate your cap height, just divide your bust circumference by 12 and add 1 inch. So mine is approximately 4.5 because my bust circumference is 41. I divided it by 12 and I added 1 inch. So I'm going to be marking 4.5 to create this line that houses the biceps. Okay, so this is our cap height. Cap height, and this line here is the bicep line. Okay. Okay, so from here now, I'm now going to mark my sleeve length. I'm just going to mark from here down. So 21, or let's say 20 inches. So work with 20 inches just so I can have enough for my sewing allowance down. So I'm just trying to show you. So I have 20 inches length. So now I'm going to mark my sleeve length at 20 inches. I'm just going to mark 20 inches and draw a straight line. which is going to mark my wrist. So I'm just going to mark 20 inches sleeve length, and this will be my wrist. This is where I'm going to put my wrist circumference. Okay, so now my elbow. So elbow length, mine is 12.5, so I'm just going to mark 12.5 so I can draw my elbow line. 12.5. Elbow line. So now you need to decide which side of this is the front and the back. So let's say this side can be the front and here can be the back. Okay, so F and B. So now remember your bicep circumference or your upper arm circumference. So mine is 15 inches. I'm just going to mark it here. So we're going to mark 7.5. That's I'm dividing 15 inches by 2. So I'm marking 7.5 on the both sides of my paper. 7.5, and I'll connect it to the top here. Okay, and down here I'm going to mark my elbow circumference. So mine is 13 inches and I'm going to mark 6.5 on both sides. Okay, and now my wrist circumference. So mine is 9 inches. So I'm going to mark 4.5 on both sides. Okay, so now let me just connect the dots together. I'm going to connect here using a straight line. Okay. So don't mind the unevenness here. So let me just use a straight line. Straight line. Okay. So let's quickly work on the upper part. So we're going to divide this line into 4. So this is about 9 inches. So the middle of this is 4.5. And we're going to divide this side into 2, this side into 2. That just makes dividing the line into 4. Okay, so we have 2.25 here and another 2.25 here. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing to the back. 2.25 and 2.25. Okay, so now the difference between the front and back is what we take along this line. So for this first dot, for the first dot, I'm going to go up by 0.8 inches. So you mark. On the second dot, I'm going to go up by 0.3 inches. Okay, and for this last dot, I'm going to come down by. So on this line, I'm going to come downward, not upward like this one. So I'm going to come downward and mark ½ an inch this way. So now we're going to connect these dots through this, and come in here, then go that way. Okay, so let me make use of my curve. Okay. Okay. So it's on here. turn it here. Okay, so we have the curve for the front. So for the back, remember these 4 dots we have here. So I'm going to mark just the way I mark this upward, but this side, I use 0.8 here. I'm going to use 0.6 inches, so just a little bit more than half an inch. And then I'm going to mark 0.3 inch the way I did for this middle, still upward. So just a little bit above more than 1/4 of an inch. So this way I'm going to mark 0.4 inch downward, that's inward, just the way we have this inward. So now we're going to connect these dots. So the curve here is not as well defined as what you have for the front. And also when we created our basic bodice block, you see that the curve for the back is not as defined as the one for the armhole, the front armhole. So they are different, hence this difference in the curve, sleeve curve. Okay, so you can use your free hand if you don't have a curve. So from here, this part of the curve is a little bit deep. So like I always say, your curves are there to guide you. They are not rules that you must follow the curve here. Just hold the curve the way that is convenient for you. Okay, so we have it now. We have our full sleeve. So now you can go ahead and measure here. Measure the curve for the back. Compare it with the back curve of your basic bodice block, and then measure that for the front and compare with the curve for the front armhole on your basic bodice block. So for mine, I have about 10 inches here. So I'll just go and check on this curve. Okay, I have about 9.5 inches here. So this works because my sewing allowance is going to make up for the deficit. So just make sure the difference is no more than 1 inch. That is no more than the sewing allowance you are adding. So let's also cross-check the back. On the sleeve we have 9.5. On back bodies I have 9.5. So, and that's it. You can decide to add your sewing allowance when you're cutting on your fabric, or you can simply add it right away. So you can add half an inch on the sides. Okay, 1 inch. Add 1 inch on the side, or as you prefer, really, there's no rule about it. And then you add half an inch sewing allowance all around the curve. And on the hem, before you make that of the hem, you have to fold this in. You don't just cut it straight. So when I fold in this way on the wrist, so when I fold in this way, I can see the way this line fans out. So I'm just going to mark it out here. So if I'm adding 1 inch allowance, it's going to be like this. So let's add 2 inch allowance to this. So I can draw my new hem and we'll cut this way. Remember to add half an inch to your allowance too. So right now we'll just go ahead and cut this sleeve and you see exactly what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out with the allowance. So this way, when I'm cutting on my fabric, I don't have to add any allowance. because I've already added my sewing allowance here. Okay, we're going to follow the curve. So you can notch the middle of your pattern just the way you're going to notch the middle or the center on your fabric. So we have a long sleeve here, and that's it basically with this method, and you're good to go. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.